Wednesday morning again, and Wednesday morning means I've got to head up to Weight Watchers to weigh in and get the latest sort of inspirational talk. Fingers crossed. We know that I've had a little bit of a off-piste week, but I'll say this now. I'll say this on camera so that I can remind myself afterwards. If I've maintained, so if I haven't lost anything, but I haven't put anything on, then I think that will probably be a good result for this week. So let's go with that. So we've driven up to the Hydro Hotel. I've got a meeting with the assistant manager about the Socks on the Beach Christmas party. So we'll go in and I'll give you a sneaky preview. Unbelievable. We're being evacuated. The fire alarm has gone off in this hotel as well. I'm being pushed out the door by my daughter. So we have Matthew and Shannon.
Hi.
They're lovely. Oh, then we have her. Then we have
The Hannahs.
the Hannahs. This Hannah is the important Hannah. This
Excuse
is
me.
lovely
I'm
Hannah.
the important one to you.
No, because Hannah does all my organisation for all my parties and stuff.
Yeah,
And I'm your favourite.
I buy all
Yes.
your birthday presents
Oh, there is that.
and all your Christmas presents.
I don't know when your birthday is. If you let me know, then we can rectify
Okay,
that
we're on it.
situation.
And this Hannah sends me sheepy pictures.
I do, yeah.
You don't do that, do you? Come on. What do? Do nothing.
I know I don't send you memes. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, get out now.
I send memes in our family group chat, but that's just to confuse Dad.
That's to wind up Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
Dad doesn't understand what memes are.
okay, we have lots of business. Look, we can still see Shannon. Look, she's hiding in the mirror there. So I'm still at the Hydro Hotel. Had a meeting with the manager about the events for Socks on the Beach coming up next year. And now, because it's so close to lunchtime, Hannah and I have snuck into the lounge or the conservatory, and we're going to treat ourselves to a bit of lunch. And this is our view. My hand's shaking a bit, so you can just about see the sea, but it's really murky. Can you hear the rain? It is pouring hard. The roads are covered in water and huge puddles. I had no idea it was quite this wet. So it's absolutely throwing it down with rain. Can you see how wet my coat is? I probably shouldn't have even come out in this, but I didn't come out yesterday. Oh, Honey's got a branch on over. I didn't come out yesterday because of the rain. Honey, this way! And I felt so bad for Honey. So I thought I'll bring her out quickly and then get her home. But I didn't know. Wow. Did you hear that? I'm just going around the corner where the flood is normally. So it'll be interesting to see how big that is. Wow. is my in-house hairdressing salon. And this is the Teletubbies look I like to go for. Lovely. Oh, Hannah is the world's best platter.
Thank you very much. I am quite good.
Oh. Look at that hair. How much would you pay in a salon to have that? Look at that tousled look. Oh boy. Okay. Good evening all. It's now just after 7 o'clock. We've had our dinner. I've obviously had a bath and had my, I don't know if you can see the hair plaiting, but that's been done. The vlog is a bit short today because I recorded a whole segment earlier, about 5 minutes worth of chatter, as I do. And when I came to upload it, the sound was wrong. In fact, the sound was wrong on my happy dance as well. You see me talking, but I had to kill the sound because it was so quiet. So I think I muffled it somehow. So, and I can't remember what I said afterwards either. Could be some really important stuff, who knows. Anyway, so I'm going to put this all together. It's been a busy day, a wet day, a very wet day. But I got lots done. I got lots organised for the Socks on the Beach group for the party, as well as some events for next year, which is quite exciting. Some potential events that we're having up at the Hydro. I'm not saying what, but there might be a sleepover involved. So that was really good, and it's always good to see the people up there, the chaps up there. They're great fun. And then I finished the blanket. I would put a bit of footage in that in a moment. We got some of that. It's all dried off nicely and ready to go to its, I say its new home. The yarn actually came from that home, so going back to its home, but as a cohesive whole rather than lots of scraps. So that's really good. Tonight, I've got myself all organised. I was determined to sit down tonight and watch a Christmas film because every time I've said I'm going to do it, I've not actually done it. So I've only watched 3 Christmas films in November so far. And I'm going Christmas shopping tomorrow, proper Christmas shopping in London with my friend Anne. So I want to get in the Christmas spirit. So I'm going to go and watch Mrs. Miracle 2 in New York, and probably work on Hannah's sweater because I haven't picked that up at all today yet. And just relax really, ready for my day out tomorrow. I will take you along with me tomorrow. I'll have to speak to Anne about whether or not she's happy to be filmed, but I'll do my best to get some shots. I mean, you know, you saw a lot of London last week anyway, but it will be slightly different places, and it might give you some Christmas ideas or just give you the Christmas spirit. You never know. Also, how are we doing with time? 3 minutes, we're okay. I got plenty of time on this because it's short today. I'm really pleased. There's quite a few people now have said they're going to jump in with the read along with the Christmas Carol. So that's really good. I was so tempted to pick mine up earlier today, and I thought, no, I'm going to wait until Friday, and we'll start Friday. So it's still time to get your copy if you want to join us with a read along. So that's that. What else is there? Did I need to say? I think that was probably all for the moment. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I recorded a little book segment with Hannah. I think, did I mention this the other day? I got her to talk about her three of her favourite books. And she surprised me with what she picked. She's very into young adult fiction, YA fiction, which is a big thing. And so, but the books she's read and the ones she's chosen, I think certainly one of them I know from a lot of my friends' Instagram posts they've all read too. So I think as today's is quite a short vlog, I will put up the bit that Hannah and I did about her books at the end of this. So if you're interested in that, or if you either have young adult children who might be interested, or you're interested in what she has to say about the books, it's quite an interesting discussion really. Then watch on to the end. If not, I'm going to head off. I'm spending the evening with Mrs. Miracle, and I might even have a chocolate tonight to celebrate my 1.5 pound loss. I'm so pleased about that. So pleased. Although I did eat a lot in London and I did have my sneaky McDonald's, I did make sure in between times I stuck to my points. So I guess, it all worked out okay. So have a very nice evening, and I will see you tomorrow. I'll cut this bit so you don't have to worry.
This is for the bloopers.
Right, are you ready? Okay, so I have Hannah here. She has agreed to this. I think she's changing her mind now, but Hannah is fortunately, well, because you're my daughter basically, as much of a bookworm as I am. She has the bookwormy thing going on in her. So I thought it might be nice to and also to give you a different face, just to ask her to pick 3 books that she really likes, would be her favourite. Now, I didn't realise that has sent her into a complete spin this morning because she couldn't decide which ones. So she has chosen 3. So I'm just going to get her, obviously not as long as the way I waffle on, but I'm going to get her just to give a little review about the book she's read. And again, you're quite into YA, aren't you?
They're not grown-up books.
They're not grown-up books. You like young adult fiction, don't you? Particularly, but you also like classics. You do have a classics
I do.
gene going on, don't you?
I do, yeah. Not all of them though.
Not Wuthering Heights. Somebody's commented that they couldn't do Wuthering Heights either, so...
I try so hard. I've read it 3 times. I really want to like it.
Well, you haven't read it all beginning to end 3 times, have you?
No. I've read it once, beginning to end, and then I tried it again a couple of years later and couldn't get past the first
Page?
Yeah. The first bit. And then I tried it again and that, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll leave that one to rest. Right, first one, I'm going to pick.
Maybe one day. That was at the top.
This was on the top. No particular order, I'm guessing.
No, they were just how I pulled them out of my book.
A Study in Charlotte. This is one I know you haven't long had this. This is a really new one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So, very brief synopsis. She talks more than me. And what you liked about it.
Rude.
Remember to look at the camera that side. Not like me, who looks at the wrong side.
Well, why would you look at the wrong side? Don't you just look at the phone?
I look at myself, but then you're not looking, you're looking when they watch it, it looks over there. So you have to look there. That's it. Now you're looking.
Really strange.
I know,
now
right?
I'm looking at the toaster.
Anyway, book. People have got things to do.
Yeah. It's It's a story, kind of like a modern retelling of a Sherlock Holmes type thing. It's not a modern retelling of Sherlock Holmes, that's wrong, sorry. It's about Sherlock Holmes's great granddaughter and Watson's great however many greats grandson, and they basically end up at the same school, and things happen like in a Sherlock Holmes book that pull them together, and they end up essentially solving a mystery, like a murder, like
So it's a Holmes and
Sherlock
Watson.
Holmes and John Watson, but it's about the kind of, it's not ancestors, it's the descendants, great descendants of the original Sherlock Holmes.
So is
John
it set,
Watson.
it's set in the modern day?
Yeah, it's set in, well, whenever she wrote it, so, but it is modern. And ironically, which is what I did not know before I started reading this, that the Holmes family live on the Sussex Downs.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's quite big, the Sussex Downs.
It is, but
Whereabouts?
they got the train into Eastbourne before they got driven to their stately home. So actually Eastbourne is mentioned in this book.
Wow.
Which is really ironic because that's not how I had no idea anything like how it
the
was
link.
kind of local. I just saw something.
Is that
else
the
talking about it.
characters, or is that the Holmes family, or is it the Holmes family in this?
It's the Holmes family in this.
Right. Okay. So this is actually, it's called a Sherlock Holmes novel.
Yeah, it's
So
there are 3 books out currently. There is a 4th book that she's writing, which I believe is going to be the last one. But that doesn't come out in paperback until next year, and I can't get it in hardback because then it won't match.
She has a thing about her books matching.
So I haven't read the 3rd one yet, but
Also, we should say that the first Sherlock Holmes mystery that Conan Doyle wrote was called A Study in Scarlet. So hence the play on words,
Yeah.
A Study
so this
in
is
Charlotte.
A Study in Charlotte. The second one, I believe, is called The Last of August, and the 3rd one, which I haven't read yet, is called A Case for Jamie, who is the Watson of the pair. Yeah, it's a good book.
Good. And how old are the characters? Are they teenagers, or are they
They
late
are-
teens? Or?
They are, yeah, they're, I believe, 17, 18-ish.
And is it, how young would it be suitable for? 'Cause-
It's quite young adult.
okay.
Like 16 up, because it's got quite a few themes of
Unsuitable nature.
unsuitable nature. Sure, we'll go with that. That sounds much
Right.
better than
So
what I
you
was going to
won't
say.
be reading that one. Thank you.
I've already
you've
read it.
Okay, so I'm going to move on. Next one. I haven't seen this one. All
I
Rights
told you about
Reserved.
This is my dystopian pick.
Okay, I think I mentioned yesterday Hannah is very into dystopian fiction. So this is by Gregory Scott Katsoulis, and now you can talk about that one.
Nor do I feel it necessary to hold the book. I
Just waving it
like
around,
reading them,
yeah.
This book, I think I also read at the beginning of this year. I think, or maybe I know I read it when I was at college because it made me think of ADP,
It's ADP.
anti-discriminatory practice.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it's a dystopian book set in. I can't really remember where it's set, but it's dystopian, and it's basically where
Just what's dystopian?
dystopian is where it's set. It's kind of like a futuristic, not futuristic.
What's the difference between fantasy and dystopian?
That's a really good question. You've like really put me on the spot because there are different types of fantasy as well. Dystopian is sort of a future possibility for the world, so
For the real world, that's
for the
how
real
I understand
world,
it.
But that's the thing, like fantasy can technically be based in the real world because you've got dystopian, which is a futuristic kind of thing where you're looking forward in time and this has happened to the world currently, or something has gone on. Whereas fantasy, you've got sort of urban fantasy, regular fantasy, and then epic fantasy.
Which I'm guessing we're coming to in a moment.
Yes, we are coming to epic fantasy, but urban fantasy is like Harry Potter because it's set in the real world, but it's not. So it's Earth is as it is in Harry Potter, but there's also this other magical kind of world. And then you've got regular fantasy, which is kind of just other worlds, but they're not what you would classify as epic. And then epic fantasy is things like Lord of the Rings.
Okay. So big kind of sagas.
Yes,
and what
yeah,
have you.
like in a really in-depth world building kind of unbelievable amount of that. Which
so this is
dystopian.
Normal day-to-day life, but has gone horribly wrong or twisted.
Yeah,
or...
into the future, things have like happened, and basically what has happened is every word has been copyrighted. So when you turn 15, you can no longer speak without paying for what you say, because words have been copyrighted by other people. And you get these, I think they're like bracelets or armbands or something. And when you speak, the armbands charge you dependent on who's copyrighted that word, which means that basically there are loads of people in debt. Nobody can pay anything off. People are just working
to pay for their words.
To pay off their words, yeah. And the only people who can speak freely are those under 15. And
that should be the other way around. Can I just say, under 15s should not be allowed to speak. And then maybe over 20s should be allowed to speak.
It's nice, man.
Just a thought.
Also over.
Thank you. Right, next book. But no, you enjoyed that.
I did. It's a really thought-provoking book, and the girl in it, the one who
next door building, yeah.
Oh, the story that it follows, Speth.
Wow.
She stops speaking completely after she turns 15. She's quite an interesting character because she doesn't really do it to sort of spark a revolution. She just stops speaking, so she doesn't have to pay for her words. But it ends up sparking this kind of movement where a lot of other people stop speaking, which means that the people in power, or the people who have the most copyrighted words, are not particularly impressed by this, because obviously they're not getting any money because people have stopped speaking, people are opposing the system. So it's kind of a revolution, unexpected revolution kind of thing.
A quiet revolution, one might say.
Funny.
Do you like that? That was good, wasn't it? Yeah. And is the style of writing good? Would I like the style of writing? Because you know I'm a book snob.
You are. I can't remember it that well. I mean, the writing's nice and big.
It is nice and big. I can cope with that.
It's good writing. I mean, it's
a quick read, I'll bet.
It is a quick read. It's written in first person, which I'm not normally a fan of, but yeah, it's really good. It did work, and I think it has to work for this, because obviously when your main character is a character who stops speaking, it's quite helpful to be written in first person, because otherwise how would you know? But other than that, I can't really remember much about the writing. I did really enjoy it, and I got through it very quickly. So
okay, cool. And then the final one is Brick. I'm sure this will ring a bell with lots of you bookies out there. Bookies, book lovers.
Bookies.
Sarah Jane, is it Sarah Jane or Sarah J? Sarah J Maas, or Maas, however you say it. Hannah was absolutely, I can tell you, last year, she was absolutely gripped by this series. And I know a lot of my friends on Instagram were reading this as well. So it's a definite crossover into adult reading as well, isn't it? Adult literature.
Yeah. Especially the ACOTAR series is more adult than this series. But...
Okay. ACOTAR, so A Crown of Thorns and Roses. Yeah. But yeah, okay, so...
And look at how nice the spine is.
She hasn't broken the spine. Have you read this one?
I have, but I didn't read the hard copy. I read on Kindle.
Well, that's what I mean. You haven't actually read this book.
No, I
You've read
haven't
it on
read
Kindle.
the book
Yeah.
because when it came out, it was released at midnight, or it was released at midnight in the UK, even though it wasn't that time in the US yet. So we got it earlier, and I waited up till midnight to see if that would happen, and it did. So I stayed up and read it in 8.5 hours on the Kindle, and it's about 998 pages.
Not as long as War and Peace, though.
No, it's actually, the hard copy is, I believe they said it's like the thinness, it's like Bible pages because it's so thick, and they wouldn't have been able to bind it if they didn't do the pages this thin. Originally, I think it was about 300 pages longer, but she had to get it to under 1,000 words.
So this is the final one of the trilogy.
It's not a trilogy.
Oh, my bad.
This is the final book in the Throne of Glass series, which is epic fantasy. It doesn't start as epic fantasy, but it becomes epic fantasy. And this is the final book in that series, which is, I'm pretty sure this is the 7th.
Oh.
Because it's Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Queen of Shadows.
It'll be in the front of the book.
Empire of Storms. I think I missed one. I did. Air of Fire. Yeah, so there's Throne 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 7th, and then there's also a prequel to the first one, but that didn't come out first. It's come out kind of retrospectively. And this is about an assassin who fights to become the king's champion, and kind of goes off on some tangents. It's a very difficult series to explain because it gets very complex and complicated, and after the second book the whole kind of story changes. So it's kind of like 2 books and then a series after that because it changes completely, but it's really, really good. The book before this, Empire of Storms, I read before this book came out, about 6 months before this book came out. I finished it, and after I read it, I cried for about 2.5 hours. And I have not actually been able to reread it. I've reread the others, but I can't reread Empire of Storms, even though I now know what happens, because it's too emotional and it's really sad.
She's very in touch with her emotions, is Hannah.
Anyone who's read Empire of Storms knows that you cannot read it, and you cannot read the end without being, anyone who had to wait 2.5 years for this book is just very emotional. But yes, these are epic fantasy. They are,
so it's witches and wizards and queens and kings and goblins and ants and no.
There are witches, but there are witches, there are shapeshifters, there are magic wielders, there are gods and goddesses of old, there are talking door knockers.
Okay.
There are queens and kings and fae, and
Fae is witchcraft, isn't it? Or is that fairy?
no, they're like elves.
Okay.
They're called fae. And there are humans as well, I should add. There are humans in this, but it is set in a completely fantastical world, so it's not set or based on Earth or anything like that. And by this book, it's kind of like the whole of that comes into it. It's a multi-POV book, so it's told from different people's point of views. That doesn't start initially. The first, is that? Maybe it's not, but I think it is always like this. But by the time you get to this book, I think there are about 5 or 6 different point of views that you go through, all the different characters. But yeah, it is a very good book, and
it's big.
it is big.
But
Again,
it's pretty. Look how pretty
it is pretty. This isn't what the American cover looks like. This is the American covers. All of the UK covers are white on the background with the colour like behind her. But as far as I've seen, the US covers, the books are coloured. They're not white, or at least the ones I've seen. I don't know if that's, I think they change depending on the store. We don't have that here, but it seems like they have special edition covers dependent on the store in the US. From the booktubers I've watched. But yeah, it is quite mature. There's sort of like blood and violence and torture and stuff.
Nasty. Not the sort of stuff I read.
And other mature content, that's just, you know, the really like gruesome stuff. There is gruesome stuff in here.
But can we just, you know, say she has read a few classics. You're currently reading the Anne of Green Gables series, aren't you?
Yeah,
Or
I'm trying.
And Little Women.
I've never read Little Women.
Have you not?
I've listened to the tape.
Oh, audio. So that counts.
A lot.
Yeah.
And obviously I've seen the film.
We're going to go and see the new one, aren't we? No?
I didn't think it was coming out in cinema. I thought it was just
Yeah.
a TV one.
No, Christmas, Boxing Day.
Is it?
Meryl Streep.
I know who's in it. I just thought it was coming out
Yeah.
because Emma Watson's in it.
Oh.
She's Meg.
Meg is kind of like the strong, feisty one, isn't she?
Meg's the oldest.
Right.
Joe's the...
Joe's boys.
I think Joe is played by Saoirse Ronan.
Okay. Anyway, that's Hannah's choice of 3. Really surprised me because these 2 I wasn't really, I don't recall those at all. I recall A Study in Charlotte, and this one, the Kingdom Bash ones, I do recall because I know.
Well, I picked 3 different genres because it's contemporary, dystopian and fantasy, and you said I couldn't choose Harry Potter. So.
Yes, I decided to just, you know, leave that one out. So there you are. That's nearly 20 minutes of chat on 3 books. I got through more books than that. Can I just say, I got through probably about a dozen books.
Yeah, but your books are boring. Except for To Kill a Mockingbird.
Ah, yes.
If I was going to pick a classic, To Kill a Mockingbird would be my favourite. And Mum's copy is actually my copy. She's still there.
How many copies have you got?
3. I like collecting different covers.
So yeah, that's Hannah's views for you, and I just thought that might be interesting. There was a friend of mine on Instagram the other day who actually put a call out for some books. Her daughter, who I believe is a preteen, who is an avid reader, and she's got through all the, you know, the usual standard books, and she wanted to know any recommendations from people. Now obviously these aren't any good, but it did make me think.
Not for preteens, they're a bit.
No, it made me think of thinking that, you know, people out there might have kids who, you know, are interested in that sort of thing.
I mean, I do still have all my younger favourite books.
Younger, because we would have so many of those. She read Skellig. She read Skellig.
Skellig is a good book.
Yeah, and the Time Travellers. No, what was it? Don't laugh. It's my vlog. Don't laugh at me.
Time Travellers.
No, you know the witch ones with
the witch trades.
The witch trades, yeah,
yes.
and things like that. But
I rebought them at the beginning of last year, didn't I?
Yeah.
I got them. They're such
And
good books. And the Wizard's Promise book.
What was the one that they made into a film? The little brown hardbacks we had.
Oh, Spiderwick Chronicles.
Spiderwick Chronicles, yeah.
I don't know. I thought you were talking about A Wrinkle in Time.
A Wrinkle in Time.
They did make that into a film.
They did make it into a film, yeah. Anyhow, as you can see, Hannah and I could go on talking about this forever.
And the one that we spent months trying to remember the name of.
Which was what? I've still forgotten it again.
The Promised One.
The Promised One. I must send that to this friend because I think that will be a good one for her daughter.
It's good. It was a good book.
Right, okay. You need to go and do some work. Thank you, my lovely.
Can I put my dressing gown back on?
You could put your dressing gown back